Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art and culture, and this is Billboard Breakdown. So you know how this week I'm aiming to focus a little bit more than normal on country music, given that by far it'll have the most new albums dropping? Well, it turns out the Billboard Hot 100 decided to follow suit because especially when you take a look at our new arrivals, the biggest story here is country music gearing up for the summer. And I can expect if songs from all those albums impact the charts, we might be seeing a fair bit more of that, and really, I'm not complaining all that much. Of course, the one place where country does not matter in the slightest is in our top 10, where once again, Drake holds steady with One Dance featuring Kyla and Wizkid at the very top, but I can't be the only one who's just waiting for it to fall away. Outstripped both on airplay and sales and still with no video. The only reason it's at the top is Titanic streaming, and that won't last forever. But right now, nothing really has enough groundswell to stop it. Panda by Designer might be at number 2, but airplay is shaky and streaming and sales aren't quite strong enough yet. You'd think that Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake would have a shot at number 3, given how it rules sales and the radio, but it's seriously lagging on streaming and would need a considerable boost to catch up. And hell, while I expected Work From Home by Fifth Harmony and Ty Dolla $ign to make more headway with enormous YouTube gains on streaming and reasonable sales even boosted by the album release, it peaked in radio this week, just not enough to get any higher. I don't think it's vulnerable to a challenge from Don't Let Me Down by the Chainsmokers featuring Daya though. It might have picked up some airplay momentum and held steady on streaming and even had stronger sales, but YouTube isn't a factor with that song and that will hold it back. Still be better off than 7 Years by Lucas Graham, which I'm amazed that it held on at number 6 given its losses in all categories. Must just be inertia at this point. You could probably make a similar argument for I Took a Pill in Ibiza by Mike Posner at number 7, as sales have continued to weaken and airplay is fading, but it does have considerable YouTube to prop it up and that might slow its descent a little bit. Then we have Rihanna with Needed Me at number 8, which is now starting to gain radio and sales traction to match the streaming, which is just fantastic. Almost as good as our first new returning arrival to the Hot 100, This Is What You Came For by Calvin Harris featuring Rihanna at number 9. And really, it was just gonna come back considering that it's got some strong sales, radio, and streaming starting to gain more traction. So nice to see so much bland mediocrity pick up traction. And on that note, we've got our newest arrival to the top 10, Just Like Fire by Pink. A song that has the same cadence and colorless production as Taylor Swift's Bad Blood, but it's somehow even more painfully generic. Yeah, I like Pink, and if this is what we need to get her to make another pop rock album, I'm mostly on board. She's still got an audience, at least according to the airplay and sales that she's getting, but man alive, this song should be so much better. So to move on to less depressing topics, our losers and dropouts. The only one worth mentioning in the latter category this week is One Call Away by Charlie Puth, so yeah, no complaints there. And our losers are just as workable, mostly as Drake continues to lose a fair chunk of his traction. 9 flipped down to 87, Feel No Ways slid down to 80, With You with Party Next Door drooped down to 77, and Grammys with Future lost to 67. Hell, the only loser that I'm actually a little dispirited took a hit was Close by Nick Jonas featuring Tove Lo, falling down to 26. But that song has never really had a lot of traction to get much higher, so I'm not altogether surprised the song hasn't gotten any higher. Granted, okay, the real story this week was supposedly country, and we did start to see some of that traction in our gains and returning entries. Well, okay, more in our gains actually, because in returning entries, we did get American Country Love Song by Jake Owen coming back at 89, along with No Problem by Chance the Rapper with 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne, but the larger story is really by Kevin Gates making an inexplicable return to 52, and I have no idea why. Seriously, no big radio traction or streaming boost or sales game? I'm assuming it's some sort of Vine meme or nonsense like that. It's gonna be gone in a week or so, because it's really not a good song. Granted, I got that opinion about most of our gains too, especially the rise of songs like Don't Mind by Kent Jones up to 13, or the continued revival of Wake Up by Fetty Wap to 58, or the unwelcome boost to the debut of Gold by Kiara to 83. Then we got the continued traction we saw for All the Way Up by Fat Joe Remy Ma featuring French Montana at 27, which, again, why does anyone want to see Fat Joe have another hit? I can at least get it with the traction for Unsteady by X Ambassadors rising up to 70. That's a follow-up single, and not from a decade ago. But finally, we circle back to country music, and really it's more just a case of country deciding what they want for the summer. With the aptly titled Noise by Kenny Chesney rising up to 79, Somewhere on a Beach by Dierks Bentley getting a slight boost from the upcoming album hyped up to 38, and Lights Come On by Jason Aldean finally getting some justly needed momentum at 64. About time too. But really, where country really came through was in our new arrivals, as I've been saying. But before we get to those, we need to start off with number 100, Sit Still, Look Pretty by Daya.
The world, yeah, that is where I'm gonna be, because I wanna be. No, I
the second I saw the title of the song, I immediately tensed up. A lot of people have probably already forgotten Daya's awful first hit, Hideaway, thanks to her feature on Don't Let Me Down with the Chainsmokers, but it still reflected something in her writing and presentation that worried me when I saw the song title here. Was I panicking for no reason? Okay, you can all relax here. Daya is subverting the title's command and playing it for broad female empowerment. And even if I'm still not wild about her nasal, husky vocal tone, most of the production here is generally agreeable off the faded, popping melody and a whirring hook that actually is a pretty decent bass line. But the one thing that's always been frustrating with Daya's material is the complete lack of nuance in her writing, and that unfortunately does show up here too. Hate to break it to you, Daya, but not all guys want to take control or offer captivity if they want a relationship, and your Beyonce reference on the bridge is all the more proof you have no idea what Beyonce actually meant on Pretty Hurts. Then there's the Snow White reference, you know, the fairy tale princess who might have had the dwarves take care of her until she bites the poison apple and is only ever woken by the prince, having no actual agency or does anything in her own story. It smacks of the same lack of understanding about how relationships or the lack thereof worked on Hideaway, with only better production here. Still, most of the time, it's not a bad song, but I'd probably skip it. Number 99, Fix by Chris Lane. That's alright. Get you falling in love at the end of the night with that goodish, that long trip, that sugar on your lips, that favorite habit, gotta have it, you can't quit. I got your fix. I'll be there and never let you down. Okay, I'll be honest. Before I even started listening to this song, everything that I've been reading about Chris Lane just gave me a real sinking feeling. If you don't know who this guy is, well, join the club. But apparently he's being backed by the label of veteran country songwriter Chris Wiseman, and he's affiliated with Florida Georgia Line and Dallas Smith, even working with their producer Joey Moy, because that's promising. Apparently he dropped an EP last year that did nothing, with this being the lead-off single, and look, that's a catchy guitar line, and even if the song is completely overmixed, I can kind of see its appeal, even if it's pretty damn far from country with that guitar roll. Like, it's really more on the pop side. And man, he's not making himself likable with his lyrics that are more openly prepositioning this girl with a boyfriend, as he describes himself as her fix, describing himself as her Walter White high. And even though I'm fairly certain you don't even have to have seen Breaking Bad to know that comparing yourself to crystal meth is no way to make yourself seem attractive. And the sad thing is that Chris Lane actually has some charisma. Not really in a country vein, but put him opposite Nick Jonas, he could compete. As such, man, I'm conflicted about this song, because I'm a sucker for a good melodic hook and charisma, but lyrics and attitude are so stupid and borderline obnoxious. Ugh. I get this feeling the song will either grow on me or sour on me in record time, even if it is mind-bogglingly stupid, so I guess we'll see. Number 98, Different for Girls by Dierks Bentley featuring Elle King. I can't just switch it off every time I feel something. A guy gets drunk with his friends and he might hook up. Fast forward through the pain, push him back when the tears come up, but it's different for girls. So on the topic of songs that are a little bit awkward exploring female emotions, we have Dierks Bentley and Elle King singing about how guys and girls handle breakups differently, because apparently girls internalize it more and can't move on as quickly. And while I guess I can applaud the effort for Dierks Bentley trying to bring on Elle King to at least attempt more nuanced framing, man, this song frustrates me, as I said when I reviewed his album Black. Aside from Elle King downplaying things significantly in her voice and not bringing the fire that I liked from her on songs like X's and O's, the lyrics of this song strike me as being too broad for their own good, playing to big gender stereotypes about how guys and girls that act that are less and less true all the time. And sure, I can appreciate Dierks Bentley trying to learn how the fair sex processes emotions, but it falls short of actually commenting on it or showing how guys could actually learn something going forward. The production is pretty frustrating too. Yeah, the acoustic guitar pieces have some great warmth and texture, and the blended flow of the hook does have some gentle swell against the faded electric textures, but if there was a song that was calling out for more organic percussion or giving the strings and guitar on the bridge some actual bite to them, it was this song. Overall, I do generally like this, but just like all of Black, it should be a lot better. Number 93, Make You Miss Me by Sam Hunt. Girl, I'm gonna make you miss me, make you wish that you were sleeping in my shirt, lie about my jacket and tell everyone it's yours. When your phone rings after midnight and you're thinking maybe it's me, I'm gonna make you miss me. Okay, seriously, is Sam Hunt still releasing singles from Montevallo? If he keeps doing this, we're gonna get Ecstasy as a single, and nobody in their right mind in this universe wants that toxic trash anywhere close to country radio. But apparently this song was the very first one he ever put up online, You Can Tell, which seems to start off with the strings and piano before breaking into that obvious drum machine that will dominate the majority of this song. Yeah, the guitar tones are kind of gentle enough on the hook, but it's always been the biggest problem with Sam Hunt's production is how nakedly mechanical it is, with no real groove or flow to it, and that stiff, unfeeling production is a perfect match for the lyrics, which proceeds to tell the girl everything that she is, that she's flighty and drifts from trend to trend. Might as well call her a eeny, meeny, miny, mo lover or something. But Sam Hunt, he won't be that, because apparently he's gonna make her miss him, because apparently he's that unforgettable. How he's gonna make her do this, sex appeal, bribery, blackmail, nobody's quite sure. But at the end of the day, this girl will be wearing his clothes, writing him love letters that she'll never send, and listening to all his favorite bands, and seriously, this is creepy! But it's the vocal delivery that really pisses me off about Sam Hunt, because he always frames it like the openly manipulative stuff he says is so romantic, which feels incredibly disingenuous. At least Chris Lane had charisma. Folks, if you want a reason why I've always found Sam Hunt a far uglier and more contemptible figure compared to so many bro country artists, this song, perfect example. If this becomes a hit, well, congratulations at finding an easy contender for one of the worst hit songs of this year. Next, number 92, Peter Pan by Kelsea Ballerini. You know, for as much crap as Kelsea Ballerini gets, especially from the critical set that despises pop country from the indie scene, and the pileup of commercial endorsements that she's landed, I've always thought that she does have some promise. And what a perfect way to get as far away as possible from Sam Hunt than with her best song off her debut album the first time, and a song that I actually like a fair bit. And while it's not without its flaws, that percussion is way too overstated and it chops up the groove just as badly as it would on any Sam Hunt song, if not worse, it knows enough to give the guitar some melodic muscle in order to support her, especially on the hook, which comes through really quite well. I always liked it. And while I've never really been incredibly impressed with Kelsea Ballerini as a singer, the lyrics really do stand out here, reflecting on a failed relationship and a guy who spent more time chasing fantasies than the reality of her. The bridge does tread up to the line of bitterness with the "you don't know who you lost" lyric, but overall, I've always kind of liked the song, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna take this. And finally, number 74, Kill 'Em With Kindness by Selena Gomez.
Kill 'em with kindness, kill 'em with kindness, kill 'em with kindness. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead now.
And finally, we've got Selena Gomez dropping a fourth and apparently her final single from an album that charitably had 2 songs that were worth remembering. And this was not one of them. Although I can definitely see this being a hit given the brittle percussion, hazy vibes, sparse piano, and that whistle driving the melody. I said when I reviewed Revival that she and Justin Bieber are remarkably similar in their art that they create. And given how successful he's been with a slightly more refined sound, I can see this doing just as well for her. The shame is that, just like Justin Bieber, the music is completely tepid, the vocal delivery is bland as hell, the vocal production is sloppy, and the lyrics are right on the edge of insufferable. Like with most of Purpose, Kill 'Em With Kindness is targeted at an audience who's spreading ugly rumors about Selena, and how she just kills them with kindness by not acknowledging it. Except, you know, in this song you just released, you're kind of acknowledging all of it. I might have bought into the sort of passive aggression that she wasn't really that bothered by the haters, and accept that her vocal delivery is so dour and inert that it's not convincing in the slightest. But you could ask, who really cares? And you'd probably be right at this point. My days of being a fan of Selena Gomez are far behind me, and by this point, I've stopped caring too. So yeah, that was our week, and wow, it's a mixed bag all around. Just best and worst this time around, not enough to make much worth of it otherwise. With the latter easily going to Make You Miss Me by Sam Hunt for just being a completely wretched song that deserves far more disgust and hatred than it's gotten from most critics. Best, I'm giving it to Peter Pan by Kelsea Ballerini pretty easily. And while it's not a great pop country song, it's still got a damn solid hook and lyrics that are sticking the landing far better than most. Let's hope things get better next week, but until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.